If you have any questions, please hop in the chat and like the video. Liking the video really helps us, as well as subscribing to the Sons of Saturday channel. We already got a comment from Max and Cheese, one of our loyal listeners. I won't be able to listen live today. I just want to say thank goodness we didn't hire Jim Knowles. And that is going to lead well into the recap of week 6, which was upset Saturday, Sam. It wasn't a ton
Yeah.
of upsets, but it was some big ones. We got 2 top 10s. We got 3 in the top 15, if you include Iowa State. Sam, we're going to start with that UCLA stunner. They upset number 7 Penn State 42-37. 1 week after the overtime loss to Oregon, Penn State has to fly out to LA to play a lowly 0-4 team. What is the worst that could possibly happen? Well, newly promoted Jerry Neuheisel could go nuclear on your ass. The son of the famous Rick Neuheisel had them rolling. They scored on their first 5 drives, and it was 27-7 at the half. Penn State started a furious comeback, scored on 3 straight drives themselves, starting in the early third, and they had every chance to win it at the end. They really did, because UCLA, that 4th and 1 call where they could have iced the game, where they threw it into shotgun to Nico, that was a bit baffling. But the UCLA defense bowed up. They tackled Aller in the backfield, and they got a stunning upset.
Yeah, this is the most stunning upset of the year. This is one of the most stunning upsets we've ever seen. I mean, 25.5-point dogs winning by scoring 42 points on a defense that most people considered one of the best in the nation. A defense who just paid $3 million plus for their defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles. Man, it is absolutely shocking. I think I do wonder, was this a win for the narrative, right? Because the narrative of Penn State not being able to win the big game, I think eventually people say this. I don't necessarily agree with this statement, but like, if a lie gets told enough, it becomes people's reality because it's what they perceive. I'm wondering if that Penn State locker room, if eventually it became, they got told time and time again, you can't win the big game. You're not a national title contender. You're not this, you're not that. I'm wondering if it broke some of those guys because they were not locked in for this game. They came back a little bit in the 4th quarter, but like, dude, they could have just lined up an I formation and ran the ball every play, and they probably win this game. Like, I feel like they just mentally, the coaching staff, the players, not locked into this game at all.
Well, the defense
to UCLA.
The defense playing the way they did, I mean, that is just doesn't make any sense from what we've seen out of Penn State's defense for a long, long time. A Jim Knowles coached unit, as Max and Cheese was referring to at the beginning. That was really the stunning part. And Nico was sensational. 166 passing, 128 rushing, 8 yards a carry on the ground for Nico. And that was the difference. He had never run for more than 65 yards in a game. And he's obviously capable, but he's kind of like a gazelle out there. He's like really tall. It doesn't like, he's quicker than you'd think, but it's not like he's Lamar Jackson, and he was just moving the ball on the ground. They had 280 yards rushing as a team on the Jim Knowles unit, 446 yards of offense on Penn State in general. The 3rd DC in 3 years. Is that part of this at all for Penn State, or is this just a different kind of situation?
I think so, because they look slow on defense. Like, they're not attacking the ball. They don't look confident. I mean, we even saw it in that Oregon game where Oregon was able to kind of run some of their bread and butter stuff really well. They didn't have to scheme too much open. It did look like they could out-athlete Penn State, and they were a step ahead of them, even with the crowd noise. In this game, I think you saw some of the same things, but again, this was a mental loss for Penn State. UCLA, you have to give them a ton of credit for. A lot of teams would have not even tried in this game. They were so outmatched, and UCLA just kept with it. They kept with it. Credit to Nico. Credit to that team. You got to feel great for the guys who stuck around there.
Yeah, Tim Skipper, which is funny. Like Tim Skipper's name is like behind the Neuheisel name, because the Neuheisel story was such. He didn't know how to work the headset. He said like after the game, like he was still learning how to use that, and they. I mean, beat one of like. It's funny if you go back to 2021. It's been 4 different DCs for Penn State in 5 seasons. Like that. That's kind of wild, including Coach Pry.
It's not good.
As much. Sorry.
They might be good. They might be looking for a defensive coordinator. I know a guy who needs a job.
The Knowles has too much of a good reputation. I don't think you can I think it goes more to the spot than the quality of the players or the play caller on defense. Like what you said earlier, them losing that overtime game when everything was in their favor and they still couldn't get it done. And really, it really shouldn't even gone to overtime. They got lucky to get it to overtime and they lose. And it probably did broke them a little. And as much blame as they deserve, like the team deserves, Aller deserves, because he's just not good enough. He's not the thrower, the elite thrower that they have been hoping for. The conference deserves blame too for this. And because this was a schedule loss. Like I know it's UCLA, but no one knew how bad UCLA was going to be before the season. No one knew that. Deshaun Foster had that team playing okay. And that being known, and we knew Oregon's going to be good, the conference still had them play Oregon and then fly out to the West Coast. And this is what you get for breaking college football. Like this is what you get for adding these teams to your conference and killing the Pac-12.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we saw it with the SEC as well. They talk about, our schedule is so tough. Well, who built that schedule? Who added Texas and Oklahoma and Missouri and Texas?
We didn't ask you to do that.
Like, you did this. This is the monster you created. And the Big Ten is facing it in a slightly different way where they're like, shoot, all of our national title contenders are on opposite coasts and they have to fly to play these tough games. Like it's just, this is what happens when people who don't love college football try to make decisions about college football.
Yeah.
And this is what you get. Now, Penn State needs to be able to get like the difference in flight time between playing at Minnesota and playing at UCLA is a couple hours. So you got to be able to handle that. Like, I don't think a few extra hours in the plane is what made the difference in this game, but I do think it has been built up to this point where mentally it maybe is taking a toll. Like maybe there's a little placebo going on here. I don't know. But I mean, we saw it with Washington. They were asleep at the wheel for the first 3 quarters of that game against Maryland.
I cannot believe they won that game.
I mean, they're a clearly better football team, but they were asleep for 3 quarters. So it's
it's a problem, man. It's a big
this is a problem for the Big Ten. When we get to our playoff picks, like this is the SEC having 5 for me and 3 Big Ten is not a coincidence to that travel. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. One more take on this before we move to the other upset. Is Franklin's tenure effectively over? I know that sounds like a little dramatic and people are getting their Franklin takes off, but like seriously, think about it. Can they achieve any more than what they've achieved?
No. I mean,
and they had, I want to talk that playoff too last year. And I'm sorry. I said this a couple times in the offseason. They had the easiest path in that playoff. Like in those first 2 rounds, they played Boise, they played SMU, and it was the easiest path. And to their credit, they won both those games. But as soon as they played a decent team, they lost. And they lost last year in the Big Ten title game. And they lost to Oregon 2 weeks ago. And now they have, I mean, this was the worst 8 days of James Franklin's career. And I think he's not going to be bought out this year. It's a $50 million buyout. But effectively, I feel like this tenure is coming to an end.
Yeah, they're in a real pickle. I don't know what you do if you're them. Because, like, what are you going to do? Fire a guy who's going, like, 9-10 wins a season?
Because they're going to lose to Ohio State. You know they're going to lose to Ohio State. They have to play Indiana still.
What if this was the year?
I mean,
because here's the thing with
Penn State, would be hysterical if it was.
Your chances of getting to Indianapolis are pretty much 0 right now for the Big Ten title game. However, man, if you go 10-2, shoot, if you go 9-3 and you have wins against Indiana and Ohio State, like the playoff is not out of the realm for Penn State.
It's not.
I think it virtually is.
Yeah, to think that they're going to win either of those games at this point. I mean, Indiana seems more reasonable. It's at home. Indiana's a home game for Penn State, and it's Indiana still. So there might be a psychological thing. It's not Ohio State. It's not Michigan. Like they can win that game. But I don't know. Think does that seem likely right now?
No. And I do think Penn State is in one of the rare groupings in college football where the buyout money is just a number. Like they're up there with Texas A&M and Florida and Bama and Ohio State where like they can make it happen if they need to make it happen. Dude, they got like 7 campuses. They can find $50 million.
You're right.
Okay?
It's a massive school and network of branch campuses. You are correct, but they were a national title pick. A national title pick. They lost to an 0-4 team. First time in 40 years. People have been saying it since it happened, but this is the first top 10 loss to an 0-4 team or worse since 1985. That's 40 years.
Wild.
All right, let's move to
that's
Florida.
wild.